Good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Nkala. The focus for today, how to apply for a job. So please, this is our second recording this week. Please make sure that you visit my Facebook page, which is Work Readiness by Dr. B.A. Nkala, and my YouTube channel where I post most of my stuff there. Before we tackle what we need to talk about today, we're going to quickly recap what was covered last week. So what we discussed last week is like the topic was how to write a winning CV. So we looked into the traditional CVs that you guys are more familiar with and look what CVs are relevant and applicable these days. So one of them is a skill-based CV. This skill-based CV is the one that you're going to be using today in terms of how to apply for a job. There's a particular section that CV, which is a second part really after your summary, where it requires your skills that you have. So we're going to look into that. We're going to just visit one of the job advertisement and dive into those skills. Then see how can you respond to those skills, because it's very, very important to write that part of a CV. It has to talk to the job that has been advertised. The other CV format that really we talked about is academic CV. This one is more for lecturers or anyone in academic environment or institutions, so their CV is written differently. The other CV format that we talked about is a video CV. A video CV is become fashionable these days. So some organizations will ask you to submit a video CV, which can be literally 2 pages, to tell us about your skills, your competences, your academic achievements, and your work experience, literally within 2 minutes. So I also attached on the Facebook page as well a sample of this particular CV format. So you can look for the examples within your own field, because I just look randomly the ones that talks to me. The other thing that we talked about last week is online CV. So once you have written the total CV, you can translate it into online. The platform that we talked about is Indeed, Peanuts, and LinkedIn. So we're going to visit those 3 online CV formats today. I hope you guys have done your CVs, because it's important to make sure that you're not left behind within a week. So I'm going to show you now how to apply for a CV, how to apply for a job using the online CV. Lastly, that we talked about last week is a covering letter. So there are examples of covering letters can be found also on my Facebook page, which is Work Readiness by Dr. B.A. Nkala. So let's discuss today in terms of, okay, now there's a job advertisement, you want to apply for it, you have checked the job that you're looking for. How do you respond to this particular job with respect to the CV? Now, last week we talked about the covering letter. In terms of your covering letter must have the address, your personal address on the far right, with the company applying for on the far left, then you give a title in terms of what job you're applying for and the reference number. Then your first paragraph, your covering letter, really, it needs to tell us about where the job was advertised and why do you think you are a suitable person for a position. And also don't forget to mention your qualifications as well, but it must tie in with what was advertised. Thereafter, the third paragraph, give us a bit of motivation. A second paragraph, sorry, give us a bit of motivation. Why do you think you are the best fit for this position? Thereafter, a third paragraph should thank the opportunity that you've been given in terms of, or for the position rather, and also state what have you attached. Remember, I did mention this last week. You must never attach what was not asked. If they ask you for your academic transcript, your covering letter, your results, your ID, give them what they've asked. Don't submit things they will never ask for. And also, I did mention last week that it's important to remember that your letter or anything that you submit, it must be saved with a name and surname and the dot, whether it's a CV or academic transcript or a ID. It's easy for identification, and bear in mind that when you apply for a position, you are not the only person applying for a position. The other thing that I talked about last week, I forgot to mention, is the email etiquette. In terms of when applying for a job, you need to have a subject. You need to have dear sir or madam if you don't know a person that you are writing to. Thereafter state you are hereby to apply for a particular position which was advertised on this particular paper or online, and you have attached here with these particular documents so they can view those documents. Then you attach your documents thereafter and submit. Kind regards, Dr. B.A. Nkala. Submit your application. I've seen a lot of people that are sending emails with no attachment or subject. So that email does not get priority, because if your subject is about the job that was advertised, so people can pull that CV and save it somewhere else. Because remember that when the people are applying for a job, let's say the job ends on the 30th of January. So as they get CVs, they'll pull them off and put them in a particular folder. If yours does not save any name and surname, or there's no subject, your CV can be missed. So it's very important to remember those elements. Okay, let's just quickly dive through in terms of here. I just extracted the skills that are required by a science teacher. These are the requirements for any position when it's being advertised. They'll tell you the position where it's situated. If you look at the job description, they'll tell you the skills that are required, which is what we are going to talk about today, and they tell about the qualifications and everything else. So here now, that part of your CV, which is the second section of your CV that talks about skills and achievements, you need to respond to this. So the first thing they're looking for, a degree in science or related discipline. Here, tell us what degree, highest degree that you have. A relevant teaching certificate or license. State what teaching certificates that you have. When you respond to the skills, all of them, I'm just going to mention one sentence. You need to tell us, for instance, I have a PhD degree in human physiology, which was achieved in 2020 at UKZN. So you give them a clear explanation. So tell us what skill that you have, when was it achieved. Obviously, if you are working, you can tell us what you use that skill for. You'll see what as I go further down. The other one, a completed apprenticeship or a teaching experience. So I will give them that I have 7 years of teaching experience, which started from 2014 November until recently. Thereafter, we highlight in terms of what modules we're teaching first year, second, and third year. So those are the things that you need to know. So it's clear, it's out there. People that know exactly what it is that you're looking for. So you make their life easy as well. The other part is practical experience with MS Office, Google Classroom, and other software. So the software is there to have trained for. You can tell them I've got a training in MS Office. Obviously, MS Office, we talk about Word documents, PowerPoint, Excel, and the likes. So Google Classroom these days, we use that a lot. Even teachers use Google Classroom when you're having class sessions and meetings and stuff like that. Tell us if you've got training in it and how you're utilizing it as well. And any other software packages, like, people that use statistics, software packages, share that information. So when they look at the summary, they can say, aha, this is a person for us. We are putting the CV on the spine, so we can be able to shortlist this individual and call that person for an interview, because we're responding to this particular information they're looking for. The other part is dedication, patience, and ability to remain calm in tense situation. So give us an example in terms of how did you manage to remain calm. Fortunately, I'm one of those calm people, even in a very tense environment. I always remain calm. I'm not that person that does not manage his expectations. The ability to answer sensitive questions and create an environment where everyone's opinions are respected, because you need to be able to, when they ask you these questions that are very, very sensitive, you need to be able to respond to it, but make sure that you do keep the environment as a calm and such an environment that is welcoming everyone. And also the other one, they're looking for someone with a passion for science and commitment to continue education. For instance, here you can highlight what it is that make you passionate about science. In my case, for instance, a friend of mine and I, we have a school which is called Science Academy, where we teach mathematics and science, mathematics and science subjects, including accounting in there over the weekend. That indicate the passion. At times, I assist people with this particular subject and guide and mentor them. So it shows that I have a passion for what I'm doing. Currently now I'm busy providing teaching online in terms of work readiness. So I'm doing those things to indicate that this is a subject that I'm very passionate about. Also, a strong communication, interpersonal, and problem-solving skills. So here, remember, the communication is not only verbal; they need a presentation skills as well. So demonstrate to us whether you've achieved the skills and how you are utilizing the skills. Some people might be they are involved in debate society, or some people are part of at school during training. They get trained on how to use PowerPoint slide, or they are part of the movements within the institution. So you highlight all of those things. Also, the problem solving, you can state some people become leaders at school, whether it's a class rep representative, or you belong to a particular society. That demonstrates that you have encountered problems within your group and how you manage to solve that problem. So people need to hear that. So the other part that I want us to sort of go through today, how to apply for a job using the online platform. So there are 3 online platforms that we're going to be looking for today. The first one is Pnet, Indeed, and LinkedIn. I won't be able to cover these here because I need to show you guys exactly what happens on the live video. So a second video will cover this, but it's part and parcel of this video. I will thank you for today. Really, the focus for next week, we're going to look at interviewing skills, how to prepare for an interview, what typical questions that are being asked, and how to respond to those questions. Thanks a lot for tuning in.